Hi, I'm Sherry Kendall, and welcome to Hometown Salutes. Today, I want to introduce my guest. It's Bryon Walker. Welcome, Bryon, to the show.
Thank you very much.
Well, let's get started. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where were you born and raised?
I was born and raised right here in Connersville, Indiana.
And did you come from a military family?
I did. My dad was in the Navy. He was in the Korean War.
Okay. And at what point did you decide that you wanted to join?
Well, my brothers, Mark and Kent, they were in the Army. And so we just wanted to be in the military. And I wanted to join the Marines because my dad, we was walking, and I was about 10 or 11, and I said, Dad, what's that little patch me? It was a Marine Corps emblem. And he says, you don't want to mess with them. He goes, they're mean people. So I wanted to be a Marine from that point.
Okay. So before you had joined, had you traveled much?
No, not really. Not at all.
So when you joined and your parents were supportive of it, so where did you go at that point when you signed up?
I
went got sworn in. You went where?
I went to San Diego.
Okay.
San Diego MCRD, and that's where I started my boot camp.
Okay. So how old were you at that point?
I was 17 when I first went in.
So you went in at 17?
Yes.
So you were probably one of the youngest ones.
I was, yeah.
How'd they treat you?
Just like the rest of them.
So how was basic training?
No, it was pretty wild. I was the first one off the bus, so I was the first one to get my hair cut, and I had to sweep up all the hair.
Oh,
so
gosh.
I got to watch all these people make funny faces as they were getting their hair cut.
So basic training lasted about how long?
13 weeks.
Okay. And then what happens after that? Do you go into specialized training?
Well, we did. We got to go on leave.
Okay.
Came back, and then I went to NBC school, Nuclear Biological Chemical Warfare Training.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So what is that about?
Well, they teach you how to detect chemicals and stuff like that.
And so how long does that training
That was
last?
a 2.5-month class right there.
Okay. So at the time that you joined, was there anything going on in the country at that time?
No, it was during the Cold War. So,
Okay.
it was kind of quiet, but, still things happen.
Right. Yeah. So how many times did you get deployed?
I got deployed twice.
And where were those?
The first time it was in '82, it was in Okinawa. And we were there for about 2 weeks, and then we got to go do guard duty in the Philippines for 4.5 months.
Oh, wow.
And that was 2 days on, 2 days off, and every other weekend was a 3-day weekend. So it was the best duty you could have. It was great.
All right. So what did you do during your downtime?
Well, we drank a lot of beer, ate a lot of lumpia.
A lot of what?
Lumpia.
Okay, what is that?
Lumpia is like a spring roll.
Okay.
But they're so good.
So was there a language barrier?
Oh, yeah. I forgot the language, Tongala or something like that, but it's kind of like Spanish, a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is there anything during the time that you got deployed to your first deployment? Did anything happen during that time? And what did you do over there at that?
I was into infantry then.
Okay.
But we were doing guard duty at Lower Mao in the Philippines. And when we got back to Okinawa, we just continued our training.
Okay.
Infantry training.
Okay. So a typical work day, you said you would be on to and off to or whatever.
Yes.
But you'd start at what time?
Well, it depends. We had 4-hour shifts, 4 on, 8 off. And
okay.
So, yeah.
So why don't we go back, let's share a little bit on a couple of the pictures. On the first picture, where is this at?
That is at Camp Pendleton.
Okay.
That's me and my buddy Mark Lang.
All right, and this, you said it's funny.
Yeah, this is...
Did you really get hypnotized?
I did. I was hypnotized. I was doing Elvis Presley right there. And he ain't nothing but a hound dog. And that was at Coronado, at the club on Coronado Base.
Okay. That is funny.
Yeah.
And this is you?
That's me. That's me with a black eye. That's in Okinawa.
Do we want to know how you
in
got
82.
that?
Well, I was probably in a fight.
One of many?
Yeah. Yes.
All right, so why don't you tell us a little bit about where you were at the time that this happened, and let's go into
Okay.
what happened on this day, if you don't care.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
That was in 84, March 24th. And I was in Okinawa, and I got called up to the office, and they handed me a fax, and it was backwards. So I was reading names first, and I was like, what's this about? And then I seen they had crashed. And so I lost about half my platoon that day.
Yeah.
And the Korean Marines were training with them, so all lives, they all perished right there.
And so it was a training drill?
Yeah, they were.
that-
It was a night flight. They were using night vision goggles, and from what I heard, it was the first time they used them, and it was bad weather. It was real bad weather.
They started off in the bad weather?
Yes. Oh yeah. And they ended up slamming into a mountain.
So you said something about your leader. He got pulled off
Yeah.
at a certain time?
Yeah, Lieutenant Coles, he 5 minutes before the helo took off, the Korean commander came over and said he wanted his guy to go in place of him. So he got pulled away and saved his life.
5 minutes before.
Yeah.
So tell us about, you've been in contact with your platoon?
Yeah.
And you've gotten together several times?
Yes.
So where have those places taken place?
The first reunion took place in Kansas City, Kansas, at the Legends.
Okay.
And that was just a beautiful time. I mean, a lot of hugging, crying.
About how many got together?
I think there was about 36 of us, something like that. Yeah, wives and kids, and it was really cool.
Yeah. And so then is that when you started talking about this?
No, we didn't start talking about the memorial until 22. We had another reunion in Phoenix, and we got together then, and we said we need to do something. Mm-hmm. And thank God we had a good crew in place. The Sergeant Major Thielen, he works on Camp Pendleton still. So him and Mike Merkin, they really did a lot of work to get this going. So, yeah.
So you're hugging, and this is the guy.
That's Richard Coles. He was the guy that got pulled away.
And so where is the memorial, and
It's
where did
at-
it take place?
It's at San Mateo area at Camp Pendleton.
And that's in California?
Yes. And it's the 3-5 Memorial Garden.
So that's a picture of the memorial there.
Yes.
And then on the back, that's everybody that was in the
Yes.
helicopter.
Yeah, on the left, that's the Marines, and on the right are the Korean Marines that perished.
And there's a total of how many?
I think 19 altogether.
19. Sheesh. So then this is everybody together.
Yes.
This is after you had
After.
a speech, right?
Yes.
So what was your speech about?
No, it was just about how much we loved and honored and cherished the people that left us all behind.
Yep, they're never forgotten.
Never.
Well, something
Never.
I'm sure you'll always remember.
Oh, absolutely.
So this is the Korean.
That's Lieutenant Colonel Lee.
Okay. And so he came over to represent?
Yes. Yes, he did. Real nice guy. Real class act.
That's awesome.
And that's Scott Graham, Lieutenant Colonel Graham on the left. He's good man, good leader too.
So then this is, you were honored. How were you picked to give the speech? Because it was awesome.
I have no idea. But I was getting on my Zoom meeting, and
Okay.
Randy Rowe and James Rogers, I served with them, and they said, "Oh, by the way, you're giving the memorial speech." I'm like, "Oh, well, thank you." So
Yeah, that's I listened to it, and that's a hard one to get through.
yeah, it was. It really was.
Chokes you up.
Yeah.
So this is you standing there by the memorial after everything was done?
Yes. Yeah.
So nice.
It's beautiful. It really is.
So how did you guys raise money for that?
Well, Dana Point was a Dana Point support group. They headed this out, and we was going to try to raise 20,000. We raised 46,000.
Oh, wow.
So we just 76 people contributed this, pitched in, and it was pretty awesome.
Oh, that was awesome. So this is a picture of you with your beautiful wife, Sherry.
Yes. Yeah. Very blessed man.
And so this is in the same park?
Yes, that's in the same park right there.
So was there a lot of people from your platoon that came back?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, there was 180 people at the dedication
wow.
right there.
So let's talk about this that we have in the picture here.
Well, that's Captain Paxton,
Okay.
and that's me in the background.
And what were you guys doing?
Well, we were in the field training, and I was sneaking up behind him probably messing with him.
Yeah.
And he brought that to the first reunion, and he brought that and some patches and some pins to hand out. And my buddies came and got me, Walker, you got to come check this out. And I was like, oh my goodness. I said, why would he bring that?
Aww.
So he signed it for me, and Sherry put it in a
Shadow box.
shadow box, and he became the 33rd Assistant Commandant of the Marine Corps.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, what a treasure to have. That
yes.
is awesome.
It is.
And then who's in this picture here?
Well, on the far left is Arnold Stockham. He was my very first platoon commander. And Rich Coles, he was my third platoon commander.
Okay.
And he was the one who got pulled out 5 minutes before the crash. And then that's General Paxton, 4-star general.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it looks like they like you.
Well, I hope so.
So is there anything else in your time in the service that you would like to share or talk about?
Well, let me see. So many things happened during training, and we were training out in the field, and we came back. It was Operation Colonel Usher, and we were cleaning our weapons, and there's a window for the armory. It's about like this, and you get your weapons in and out of it. And I went to go get some sodas for my buddies, and I seen one of the armors working on a law tube. It's a bazooka. It's a light anti-tank weapon.
Okay.
And I was wondering why he was beating on the back of it. Usually when you use a law tube, you break it and throw it away. So I grab my sodas, take off walking, take about 15 steps, and just, the concussion just drops you to your knees. I turned around, the guy behind me, he turned his head, and blood just starts pumping out of his neck. So I grab him and lay him on the ground, and I think it was Corporal Sacco. I laid him in his lap, and we patched up his neck and got him going. And I looked in the window, and it was just total carnage. Lost 2 people that day.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So during the time that you were in the service, were you able to communicate to your family and keep in touch?
Yeah, I got to call them sometimes when we were in the field. We got special liberty to go call, and phone bill got high, but we were able to talk, so that was good. Not as often as they do today,
Right.
because of cell phones.
Right.
But
Yeah.
probably maybe once or twice every 2 months, probably. Yeah.
Did you come home during the time in the service? Were you able to come home on leave?
Oh yeah, I came home several times. So.
Yeah. Was it hard to go back?
No, I loved it.
Really?
Yeah, I did.
So after the service, so you get out of the service. You were young in the service. So how old were you when you got out?
When I got out, I was 24.
Okay. So what, did you come back to here, or what did
No,
you do?
I stayed in California. I got into construction, and that led me into property management. So I stayed in property management for probably 18 years. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And when did you come back to Fayette County, to Connersville?
Well, I left California in 2004. I went to North Carolina, Kannapolis, and my wife at the time, Beth, she was sick, and she passed away in 2009. And I moved to Asheville after that, and then I met Sherry again. I knew her before, and we kind of started talking, and I moved back here, and we've been together ever since.
So are you and Sherry the same age?
No, she's 3 years younger.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
or 2 years. 2 years.
Cheer. Okay. So are you glad that you joined the Marines?
Oh yes, yeah, yeah. If I had to do it all over again, I'd do it.
What are some life lessons that you had learned from your time in the military?
Oh, just love people, be kind. If you say you're going to do something, do it. You know, just honor, courage, commitment.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you're retired now.
Yes.
You do something special. Let's talk about that. What do you do?
I host Zoom meetings every Wednesday night for Marines and Navy corpsmen who are suffering from PTSD. And they need to talk about stuff. I've been doing it for 5 years now, and we have a good crew. I have a good co-host, Carol Mason Davis. She lost her husband tragically, and he was a Marine too. She's a Marine, and yeah, we love doing it, and I'll never stop.
So is this something that you started yourself, or is it something that you kind of talked about? I mean, how did it get going?
Actually, there was it was started by a female who she started it, and then she left abruptly. So I was asked to take over. I said, well, I'd love to. And so I think she did it for like a couple months, and I've turned it into what it is today.
So how many people are on usually when you do that?
We have an average between, I'd say, 10 and 18 people.
Wow.
And when I had General Paxton, he was my guest speaker. We had 62 that night. So
Wow.
I have guest speakers probably every 3 or 4 months.
I don't think people realize, I mean, how much that's really needed.
All right. Well, I suffer from PTSD. I have major depressive disorder. And the best therapy you can do is to talk to someone who knows what you're going through.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your first deployment. You said you went to
The Philippines.
Okay. So
Yes.
so what did you said you were guard?
Yeah, I was on guard duty.
Okay. So on your leisure time, what did you do?
Well, we would go hiking. We'd love to go try to find caves, you know, and go rappelling down to caves and stuff.
What's the weather? When were you there, and like what's the weather like? Is it super hot?
Yeah, it was like 100 degrees and
I've
110%
heard.
humidity.
Ugh.
So, yeah, you know, and you go to take a shower, you say, well, I'm going to take a cold shower. But we learned that if you take a hottest shower you can, you wouldn't sweat as much. So,
Oh gosh.
yeah, it was hot. And
And you stayed in barracks, probably?
oh, yeah. Quonset huts, actually.
So how many's in that? How many's in a hut?
Well, I'd say probably about 20.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're in bunk beds, probably?
Yeah, bunk beds. Yeah.
Anything funny happen that you can talk about during that?
Oh my goodness. Well, you know, Longapo City has bars on each side, one on the bottom, one on top. I mean, if you go to Longapo City, all you're going to do is drink and eat lumpia. That's San Miguel beer. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Did you make it home every night?
There was a couple times I had to be dragged home. Yeah.
Did you ever get in trouble?
Yeah, I did.
What would happen?
We got in a big fight with, this was in Coronado when we were training with the SEALs, Navy SEALs.
Oh,
And we got in a big fight.
with the Navy SEALs?
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. We won, too. So that was a good fight.
Would they say you won?
Well, they probably would if we were standing by them. Yeah, that was good times right there.
So your brothers, you said, were in the Army?
Mark and Kent were in the Army. Dad was in the Navy. And my brother Rodney, he was in the Marines too. He's younger than me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how many years did you end up serving?
I served 5 years and 8 months active duty.
5 years and 8 months.
Yeah. All in the infantry.
So did you go in serving just 4 and then they...
Yeah. I extended for 2 years. I was going to re-enlist. But I got married and I was making so much money on the weekends working for my father-in-law. I was like, God, I can't pass that up. And I wish I would have stayed in. I wish I would have. Yeah.
So at the time that you were married, did you live off base then?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
I lived in Anaheim at that time.
okay.
Yeah.
So have you ever gone back to Anaheim? Well, you just did.
Well, yeah, that's the first time I've been back since 2004.
Okay.
And God, it changed so much. I was paying $850. Well, I didn't get charged rent because I worked for the company. But rent was $850 for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. It's $2,500 a month.
Isn't that unreal?
It's crazy. Yeah.
Wow. Well, Bryon, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for coming in today and sharing your experience with us.
Well, thank you for having me.
I want to thank you
appreciate
for
it.
doing the Zoom meetings and counseling people
Oh,
because I
thank
think that's really needed.
Thank you. It is. I love doing it. And if you're out there and you're a Marine, look me up. So
They look you up, what, like through Facebook?
yeah,
or?
Facebook. And if we have the largest Marine Corps group on Facebook. We have 142,000 members.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, it's huge.
Wow. All right. Well, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
So be sure to tune in next month for another edition of Hometown Salutes.